The police here are insisting on the fact that they have found absolutely no link between the killer here and the Islamic State organization, or indeed any other kind of organization that would be making some kind of political claim. So this cannot be described as a terrorist attack. The police described it as a classic case of a deranged individual. This was a teenager who appears, from the documents and books that the police found in his apartment, to have had an obsession with killing rampages with the police. The German police are investigating, and they think it's probable that he has been in some way inspired by Anders Breivik, who 5 years ago to the day went on a killing spree in Norway. And that's where some interesting facts are beginning to emerge, though the German police aren't confirming it, which is that at least 6 of the victims appear to have been of Muslim origin or from Muslim countries, 3 Albanians or Kosovars and 3 Turks. But that's according to Albanian and Turkish sources, not to the German police. So we can't confirm it yet, but there may have been some kind of profiling going on in the way that this young man was choosing who he was killing. Still, there is a sense of relief in Germany in a way that this has not turned out to be an Islamist attack or something that could be defined as terrorist according to the strict definition of clearly pursuing political goals that the person has made clear. But right here in Munich, in this immediate neighborhood, people we've been talking to are mostly people who are quite directly affected, and they're just still extremely shaken and extremely sad. We spoke to one woman who was still physically shaking when we spoke to her. She had brought her 2 daughters to lay flowers as close to the shopping center as she could, and she told us that they had been planning to go shopping in that shopping center yesterday, and it was just a stroke of luck that they changed their minds.
Good morning, Dan. That's right. That shopping mall right back there. The police speaking just a short time ago saying, as you said, that this young gunman had no apparent ties to ISIS. It appeared to try to lure people down here by hacking in and writing, "I'll give you something if you want, but not too expensive."
Despite a great deal of speculation and fear that this killer could have been acting on behalf of an organization, perhaps a jihadi organization, despite a lot of speculation and fear that this killer might have been acting on behalf of an organization, might have been pushing some kind of jihadi agenda. In fact, the German police's conclusions, having searched the young man's apartment, is that this was just a very disturbed individual. He was 18 years old, he held dual nationality, Iranian and German, but he was born here in Munich and had lived here all his life. The police describe a young man who had been receiving psychological treatment for depression, who was very keen on video games. The German Interior Minister was here on Saturday evening and spoke about the dangers of violent video games, was lonely, and most importantly had some kind of an obsession with violent killing sprees. He had books about it. He appeared to have a very particular interest in Anders Breivik, the Norwegian who murdered 77 people exactly 5 years to the day before the tragic events of Friday night here in Munich. So it looks like we are dealing with what the police described as a classic case of a disturbed individual. So now there are questions to be asked. How did he manage to get hold of a gun? Could the social services have been doing something that they weren't doing? The fact that it wasn't, strictly speaking, a terrorist attack is of small comfort to local people here who are very, very shaken by the events. All throughout Saturday afternoon and evening, people were coming and leaving flowers. Some people saying that these events made them feel more afraid to go out in the streets and increase their sense of insecurity. Others, though, wanting to be reassuring and say, look, this is a tragic event, but something of this kind has not happened in Munich for decades, and there's no reason to suppose that this city really is any more dangerous today than it was before. Okay.
Beside me. James, let's continue looking at the pictures here. We've been hearing from the authorities in Munich that 5 people are actually confirmed dead, although that figure of 6 or even 7 has been bandied about as well. But this is obviously a terribly serious situation. What we know right now is that there are 3 shooters, we believe, And one shooter was said to have started shooting at people within a McDonald's. That was in a shopping mall in the center of Munich. And then there was another man shooting from a rooftop, and there was an extraordinary situation that developed there because there was an onlooker, a member of the public, on a rooftop that was higher up that had a conversation with this man as he was about to start shooting, and the man said that he had grown up on benefits and that he did not like foreigners. But as we watch this here, people are running away in fear. The authorities and the police, the government have been telling people in Munich to hide and get protection and stay away because 3 men are still said to be on the run.
Yeah, up to 3 attackers is what the police are saying. It's possible that several people saw different persons, and they mean that they might be sort of double counting them. The police have now confirmed that 6 people have been killed in what has been described as an acute terror situation. What is interesting is, whilst the police are describing it as a suspected terrorist act, they're also saying that there is no indication that this is an Islamic terror attack. Picking up on a point that you made a moment ago about one gentleman referring to the foreigners that are living in this country. This man has been described as wearing boots associated with the neo-Nazi scene in the country. Let's just remind ourselves where this shopping centre is. It's in the northern part of the city. It's been there since 1972. It's not far away from the original Olympic Stadium. A second event, if you like, started taking place around 6 kilometres to the south. Now, that is near the main train station. The train station has been evacuated tonight. The whole of the city's public transport system has been shut down. Taxis are being told, do not pick people up. An interesting development in terms of, well, how can I describe it? The media, social media. One of the hashtags is this offener tour, an open door. People are saying, look, if you are struggling to get home and you need a safe place to stay, come and stay in my property. A few other developments in the last few minutes. We've heard from Berlin that a crisis meeting is taking place regarding the situation. 10 to 20 people have been injured. Police are saying, please do not speculate, and that's also been picked up by a Green Party politician, Omid Nuripur. He's saying that, and some quite rich language developing, unclear yet if the gunmen in Munich are ISIS, swear words, or Breivik, swear words, or whatever. Stop announcing stuff and wait for the authorities, and that's a vibe that has been echoed.
Yeah, that's very much what the police have been saying. I mean, at one point I was listening to a translation, and one of the police chiefs was saying, please do not report 6 dead. This is not the case. That could well mean that, yes, indeed, 5 have been confirmed dead. Several injured, as you've been saying, 3 gunmen on the loose. Police are asking people just now to give them any mobile phone footage that they might have taken. And James, you're right, it's still a confusing situation. Normally when looking at pictures like this, you think right away the so-called Islamic State, but the police are not clear in any way, it would seem, about the motivation behind these attacks. The man who was speaking to the member of public, the gunman who was on the roof speaking to the member of public who was on a mobile phone behind a pillar further up than him, higher up than him on another building, said, I grew up in the Hearts 4 area. And then there was an exchange of swearing between him and the man further up, the member of the public, and a lot of bad language in that exchange. And he said that he did not like foreigners. So that would lead you to speculate that perhaps the shooters are right-wingers, but sheer speculation.
It is total speculation, as you say. Peter Beck is the police spokesman in Munich. He's the one that's now confirmed that up to 20 people have been injured and has confirmed that those 6 people have been confirmed. This is a large shopping centre. Like I say, it's been there for a long time. It appears that the attackers, however many of them, fled quite quickly. Have they tried to head towards the main station in the city, and that's why there's this second incident? Difficult to say. A couple of other developments. Special forces are involved, federal police are involved. Austria is sending a number of police. So are the authorities in Hessen and Baden-Württemberg. Also, the Czech Republic border is being tightened. It shares a 500-mile border with Germany to the south of the country. If there is any attempt for these attackers to try and escape through that route, they want to shut that down. You've got to remember the context. Within the week, we've had this, difficult to say whether he was Pakistani or Afghani teenager who went on a stabbing rampage on Monday. And of course, earlier in the year, 10th of May, at a graphing station in this very city, a 56-year-old man was stabbed. 3 others were seriously injured. He was heard to be screaming, Allahu Akbar, God is great. But he was described as mentally disturbed. So, you know, we've had 2 big incidents in this city. Is this an opposing one? This is why perhaps we're suggesting that there is no link with Islamic terror in this particular incident.
Interesting as well, because watching other pictures earlier, one could see one of the gunmen who started firing outside the McDonald's, outside the shopping mall. This gunman had a pronounced limp. And the gunman who was on the roof, speaking to the member of public that I was talking about there, he had no limp at all. So one could determine, or the police, I suppose, are determining from that there are at least two gunmen. But I mean, they're saying that there could be up to 3.
Very difficult to say at this point. Like I say, it's now getting quite dark in the city. There is certainly a desire by the authorities there to keep the streets as clear as possible. The Hauptbahnhof, the main station in Munich, it has been sort of swept. Difficult to say, back in the OEZ, the Olympia shopping centre, whether that has now been swept and whether it is now clear, and that the attention is now moving firmly onto capturing however many attackers have been involved with this incident.
Just to recap, so police in Germany, in Munich, are hunting what we believe to be 3 different shooters. There are 5 people who have been shot dead, confirmed, following that gun rampage in different parts of the city. It started in a shopping mall and in a McDonald's, we're hearing. 2 separate incidents there. Authorities have shut down public transport. People have been warned to stay at home or seek protection because gunmen are right now on the run, and that is the job of the police just now to hunt them down. The first killings took place, as I said, after a shooter opened fire in the mall, and then that man, as I say, or indeed perhaps another man, was outside shooting randomly at people, and this was the man with the pronounced limp. Anyway, witnesses are reporting having seen 3 different people with firearms. The police are saying that they're doing absolutely everything to secure the shopping centre and track down the shooters. I think that we can possibly leave it at this point, but throughout this bulletin we'll be able to come back and give you watching an update, or regular updates as to what the current situation is in Munich.
This is BBC World News. I'm Alba Patel. Here are the headlines. German police say the 18-year-old gunman who killed 9 people in Munich had researched mass shootings, but had no known links to the so-called Islamic State. Back in Munich, which killed 9 people. The BBC has been speaking to one man who witnessed the attack unfold and managed to communicate with the gunman. Thomas Selby explains what he saw and heard.
I was up here and I heard shots and people screaming. They were running out of the mall and I wondered, what is going on? Is someone playing with a gun? I just heard bum, bum, bum. He killed some people at McDonald's and I was thinking, what is going on? So I looked down and I saw people running around escaping. And then I see that idiot. Down there he was walking and I saw him with his gun and I thought, I will stop you, you idiot. So I took my beer bottle that I was drinking and I threw it at him. You can still see the pieces. He was down there loading his gun, but didn't even care when I threw the bottle. He was so in his own world. Then I shouted at him, "You are not in your clear mind. You need to go to psychiatry. Then he shouted back, I'm on the dole and I bought a gun. And then he was shooting at us. You can see it in the video online. And he was pointing the gun at me. Not only at me, but also the people who were filming above. And I went down. I was hiding. It made boom. And then I didn't dare to look down anymore. I told myself, now it's getting dangerous. I just felt hate. That's why I used such strong language. I was so full of hate, because I was so powerless. I couldn't do anything.